Okay, so the UK and China have just signed this massive series of deals, and it's poised to totally reshape their relationship. But the real question is, what does this all mean for the rest of us, for the rest of the world? All right, let's break it down. When you strip everything else away, what we're really talking about here is global power. It's about a historic relationship entering a completely new, uncharted phase. And believe me, for both the UK and China, the stakes, they could not be higher. So, to really wrap our heads around this summit, we've got to look back a little. The relationship between the UK and China, well, complex is probably an understatement. This recent meeting wasn't just some photo op or a simple handshake. No, this was a carefully calculated, strategic move designed to lay the groundwork for their entire future together. All right, so what was the UK's game plan going in? What were they trying to achieve? Well, the objectives were pretty straightforward, really. First, promote trade. Second, pull in some much-needed investment. And the big one, the ultimate goal, build enough trust to create a stable, long-term partnership. Okay, so with those goals in mind, let's dive into the nitty-gritty. What was actually in the deal? We're moving on from the why they met to the what they agreed on, the actual concrete agreements that were put on the table. And wow, the sheer scope of these agreements is kind of staggering. Seriously, this isn't just about one or two industries. We're talking deep collaboration in high-tech, huge infrastructure projects, and a massive push into green energy. And that's not all. They also threw in major partnerships in education and science, plus a whole plan to open up the market for UK exports. You can really see the priorities of the deal when you look at it this way. I mean, sure, trade and investment make up the biggest slice of the pie. That's no surprise. But look at how much emphasis there is on clean energy. That's a huge signal, right? It tells you exactly where both of these countries think the future of their economies is headed. But of course, any deal worth its salt has to be a win-win, right? It's got to work for both sides. So that brings us to the crucial question. What's in it for each of them? What does each country actually get out of this? Let's break down the benefits, first for the UK and then for China. So here's the breakdown. For the UK, it's pretty clear. They get better access to China's gigantic market, which means new investment and hopefully new jobs back home. Plus, they get a piece of the action on some cutting-edge technology. Now, for China, the UK is a strategic doorway into European markets. It's also a key partner for their huge green energy ambitions. And let's be honest, signing a deal with a major Western power like the UK, that really boosts their standing on the world stage. Okay, but the impact of this deal, it doesn't just stop in London or Beijing. Not even close. An agreement this huge is guaranteed to send ripples, maybe even waves, across the entire geopolitical landscape. And that's probably the most important thing to remember here. This isn't happening in a vacuum. Every single move the UK makes with China is being watched, and watched very closely by its traditional allies. We're talking about the United States and the rest of Europe. So this is where that strategic chessboard gets really, really complicated. On one hand, the opportunities are massive, right? A chance to balance global relations, to help stabilize those shaky supply chains. But the risks, they are just as big. We're talking intense political pressure from allies and having to navigate incredibly sensitive issues, like the situation in Hong Kong. And all of this, it leads to the central challenge for the UK from here on out. It really is a delicate balancing act. Think of it like a strategic tightrope walk where one tiny misstep could have absolutely massive consequences. So here's the bottom line. The UK is essentially trying to juggle three things at once, and these things often pull in opposite directions. First, they have to secure all those economic wins from the deal. Second, they have to do it without upsetting their key historic allies. And third, they have to manage all the political heat that's going to come from getting cozier with China. It's a lot. And all of that leaves us with the big defining question for the UK's entire future on the world stage. Is it possible to have the best of both worlds? Can the UK really embrace this incredibly lucrative economic future with China without fracturing the trust and security it has with its oldest, most traditional allies? The answer to that question, it's not just going to shape Britain's future, it's going to shape the global order for decades to come.